today what we're going to be doing, air conditioning units. Country coach, 2008, 530 Intrigue, 42 foot, as usual, if you follow my channel. It's got 3 AC units on the top of it. Number 1 and 2 I had a problem with a couple of years ago, whereby number 2, the capacitors went. Number 1, the fan impeller broke on the inside, so I took the capacitors out of number 1, put in number 2 to get them working. Today we're going to be fixing number 1. It needs capacitors, and the primary reason it failed was the impeller. So we're going to try and find out what's wrong with it. The impeller on the inside, not the fan on the top that draws the air across the cooling fins. It's the impeller in the inside that pushes the cold air through to the ductwork. So stay tuned, and we'll see what we find. Okay, here we are on the roof. There's number 2 unit, and there's number 1 unit. So this cover, it's a Coleman 9000 series, and when I've looked at the literature, 9000/4600. One piece cover, and then you've got the base plate, which is clamped to the roof from 4 bolts, and you'll see later on in this video the bolts underneath that hold this AC unit to the top of the RV. So if you follow the channel, you'll see that this coach has had some work on it, and there was some heat damage that caused these plastic covers to deform slightly, but it doesn't deteriorate and it doesn't affect the way that these fans are working. It's just a superficial cover on the outside. It's held on with 4 bolts, screws, one here, and one over there. Once you take those 3 out, this whole cover lifts off, and then we're going to find out what's causing that impeller to jam up and the motor not to run. Okay, so I've already taken the cover off this. This is a Coleman 9024-876 model. It's a 9000 series. It's there's 3 of these on top of the country coach that I have, a 2008 Intrigue, and this one hasn't been working for some time. It just wouldn't run, and looking on the inside I could see the fan was jammed or broken, so I decided to take it apart and take a video after starting taking it apart to show you what I found. So this cover comes off. There's half dozen screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's this brace. There's 2 screws at the bottom, one there and one at the bottom, and the same on the other side, 2 screws at the bottom, and then this whole unit comes off. The fan comes off with a single screw, the top fan. Don't worry about that. It wasn't rotating. So taking this off, this is what we find. It's pretty evident. This internal fan has delaminated. The ultrasonic or the welding, plastic welding that holds this on, has broken off. And I think the reason it's done that is because it's been rubbing. And if we look down here, this is rubbed and got very rough. It's got very hot and it's rubbed. And this is what's caused everything to jam. And I think so. We're going to clean all this up, clean the fan up, use JB Weld, because there's nothing wrong with this. It's just half of it has come off. So I'm going to stick this back on. Let's take this fan off, clean this up, put new tape all around here to seal all these joints. There's a little bit of look at that. It's pretty pathetic, really. Again, you know what my opinion, if you watch my videos, of the quality of the builds on some of these things, pretty ridiculous. So you're blowing air down there, there's one bit of jumbo tape, duct tape, that's holding that down, and obviously all the air's blowing out all these gaps. So we're going to seal this back up, clean it back up. There's another one bit of duct tape. Look at that. Real time again, gents, ladies, gents. Real time what we're finding. So we'll take that off. This is going to spring up. we'll clean it up, put that back down, put some speed tape, more duct tape, more speed tape over this, keep that down. We're going to clean this rough edge off and make sure there's clearance. Look at that. Okay, so stay tuned, we'll get this cleaned up and we'll see how it comes out. So here's the impeller that's been fixed. You can see where it was rubbing and where it had come apart, but now half of it, what I've used is JB Weld and stuck this top plate back down. The next thing I want to look at here is this height adjustment to make sure this isn't too low that it's going to be rubbing on this edge like it was last time. So the impeller's come out well, it's really stuck well, saved having to buy a new one. Now I'm just going to make sure the adjustment, there's clearance underneath the impeller and there's clearance between this top surface and here. So let's put that back on and see what clearances we've got. So today we're going to be replacing the capacitors, the hard start capacitor, the run capacitor and the hard start kit. What happened on this one is the internal fan broke, come apart, the welding. At the same time, number 2, the capacitors went out. So I robbed the capacitors from this one, put it in number 2 and had number 2 working. So today, follow on from, we've already fixed the internal fan and that's working really nice now. I know the capacitors are out because I can turn this on and then spin this and it will start working and it works fine. So the capacitors reside underneath here. It's hot today, but I hope this helps some of you. If you ever get issues with these AC units, rather than spending a fortune getting someone to come out and fix it, you might, if it's the capacitors, if it's electrical, it's normally the capacitors that go out. So you can come up here if you want to, if you want to brave the roof. Got some really good views from up here. That's safety precautions. These capacitors remain charged for some time. Turn the power off. They will run down over a period of time, but best to make sure, short them out. You don't want to get a jolt from these things because that will throw you off the roof if you lose your balance, and I don't want that to happen. So there's half a dozen screws on this, and then this cover comes off, and there's your capacitors. Run capacitor, hard start, and then a hard start capacitor underneath, hard start kit on top. It's just so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to short them out just in case. They shouldn't be. The power's been turned off for some time. Be careful because if they are charged, it's going to give quite a bit of a spark. So anyway, there's a little brace that holds these things in. Rather crude. Something sharp. Splinter. So This is a 45 microfarad plus or minus 6%, 370 volts AC, 50 to 60 hertz. This one comes from Amazon. Cylinder. There's plenty of manufacturers out there that you're going to see that supply these things. Get a little bit of a clean up, little brass brush, never hurts. Seems a little bit loose. Just pinch those terminals together. Okay, there's one. As well. Just a little bit of white oxidation on these terminals. Oh, little brass brush, get just inside there enough to clean it off. Pinch the terminals up again. Don't go crazy with this because if you cut through it you'll have to replace the terminal. Say the way these are held in here is a little bit crude, but it works, and it's worked for 2008 until now. So I don't think we're going to worry too much about that. And it's worked on, I should imagine, millions of other units that share the same There we go. A little bit of perseverance and it goes on. Top screw. Oh my, as they say. Goes without saying, when you put these in, because all these terminals are bare, make sure that none of the terminals are touching or resting against each other. I noticed that this top one here on the hard start kit can actually rotate round if you're not careful and touch that. The run capacitor. So everything looks good. We'll get ourselves a tie strap back up all these cables. Perfect. Keep that together. Screws back in. Pain in the bottom, so to speak. You can't see it, the sun's directly shining down on me. But as I say, I'm not complaining because it is an absolutely beautiful day. We've got pole position sitting on the roof looking around. You can see everything going on, or in this case not much going on. Well, actually the building behind me here. One thing in Idaho, they seem to be building a lot of houses. Whereas in other states I hear it's slowed down quite considerably. Done. I do want to put a tie strap around. Ow, that's getting pretty damn hot. And these cables. And I'm going to put a bit of convolute tube around it. There we go. Let's go and try it, shall we? See what happens. That's not that nice, isn't it? I think we'll call that a win. I like that. What about you? So we're going to put the cover back on, put the convolute tube around the wires. There's already protection down there. Pop the convolute tube around here. I strap it. And we'll call that one a win. Stay tuned. Okay, this video is for you guys who wonder how to get to the intake or the exit of the air conditioner above these panels. So some of you may know, some of you may not know, but I thought I'd put this together because I'm playing around with number one. A couple of these panels clip in. Be careful of these clips because they're only stuck in with bit of glue and a small screw, and they can close down. If they close down, you're not getting back in. You're going to have to squash them back together again. That one and this one. You can go around prying the panels and seeing which ones move. Get it out somehow. There we go. Use a plastic scraper to get out behind. Gently pull. You don't want to leave the clips behind. Then you're going to be left with either Phillips or Allen head. These ones are Phillips. So there is Velcro up behind here. But be warned, sometimes the Velcro wears out, the glue comes off. The reason I say that is because you don't want this thing falling down on your head. So there's a clip up this end. I'll show you in just a minute where it slides in. So the other panels have got Allen head screws in. This one's got Phillips head screws. Go figure. Guess the guys ran out of a certain type of screw and just threw in what they had. So when you take the last screw out, just be careful. Keep in mind this thing is heavy. You hear the Velcro? It clips in to that end. That Velcro is not doing too good there. And did I say it was heavy? So, this is the normal inlet return that you find in lower levels lures, perhaps, most other trailers and RVs. You find this. Now I've got this taped over because I don't want this rattling loose, and it rattles anyway. I don't like rattles, and I don't want it falling down inside there and drive me insane until I get a chance to take it out. So a little bit of HVAC tape. I'll clean that up in a minute and we'll replace it with more. And what you find is that Country Coach seals this panel off because they don't want the air coming through here. They don't want the air coming through the side vents or the back vents. They want the air ducting up into the plenum that's up here and then feeds out the sides. If you don't have that, and I found when I originally took these down, these things rattle and they slide open. The cover that Country Coach stuck in with RTV, silicon sealant, had give way. That had come up, this was open, and it was blowing the cold air straight up the return, so it wasn't of any benefit. So when you take these down, you've got 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the corners and 3 here. This panel comes down, and I'll show you when it's on the counter here what I've done to reseal it. So one thing I found when I removed this inner panel from the HVAC is that Country Coach have blocked the intake, what would have been the intake, because they feed it up through the plenum, so it doesn't feed down through here now. So they blocked this with a tin plate, bit of foam underneath. They only sealed up front and back with a piece of, or I should say some silicon sealant, and this thing was loose, just sitting there. These side vents were open, so really it was reducing the effectivity of the AC unit. So if you're going to do this, take this off. There's 7 screws that hold it in, 1 in each corner and 3 here. Go up there, seal these up, make sure this is stuck back down. I've just used some aluminum foil tape, HVAC tape, which is really good. It's quite sticky. Also stick the side vents and the front vents shut, and you'll find it improves your AC quite considerably, and it routes the cold air through the plenum up in the header rather than straight down like a normal RV where you've got this showing, rather than straight through this vent. So pay attention to that. You may think it's crazy, I'll just show you. I'm blocking off the intake, but the air is now ducted out through there and through that one, through here, up into this plenum, and it comes out the sides. Okay. So that's why they've sealed all that off. I suppose in the lures where you don't have this intricate header up here, you just have this panel, it doesn't matter. But this was Country Coach's solution to this. As I say, I wondered originally why the AC wasn't working very well. And it's because this blank that they'd put in there had come off, and all the vents had rattled open, because you'll see if you take yours apart, they're just loose. So that, replacing the top fan that had broken, and oh by the way, the other reason this AC wasn't working, a couple of years ago, went down to Arizona in 2021, that when we had that really hot year, and 2 ACs, number 1 and number 2, packed up on me. What had actually happened was this fan had broken and jammed, and the capacitors had gone in number 2, So what I've done is I swapped out the capacitors from number 2 and number 1 unit, got number 2 unit running again, and never got round to fixing this one until now. So hence the video. Never had a need, never been anywhere that hot that we needed to run all 3 AC units. So there you have it. 4 screws in each corner, or 1 screw in each corner, 4 of them, and 3 screws here. And then we put the little gauze filter back in. Doesn't really do anything. As I say, I take these corners because this thing can fall down, rattle loose. Roof, because that come off. There we go. I hate rattles. Squeaks and rattles are my pet peeve anywhere. If I'm driving and there's a rattle, it drives me insane. No doubt there's quite a few out there, or a few of you out there, that feel the same. So there you go. This is up. And we'll put the cover back on now. Stay tuned. So this is the inlet panel of the AC unit that you normally see on coaches, but again, because of the plenum that we have up here, it's hidden. So their solution to get the air to feed through the ducts was to put a plate in here, and you'll see on the other number 1 I stuck it back onto here, but doing number 2 I found a better solution, because sticking it on here, the air's still going to come out the sides because the sides aren't sealed. And you can see the crudeness of what they done in the first place. They just stuck it in with RTV. So instead of putting it back on here, what I've done with number 2 is I've actually put it on the intake and sealed up the whole of the intake, so I've not got air escaping all the way around. So that's my solution for number 2. Number 1, I'm going to go back and redo. Now to put these panels back up, they are heavy. This end slots in, clips in, and then the Velcro helps. Push it in, take your time, get it aligned. Get a screw in. Not advisable to let it hang on the Velcro. It's likely to come down on you. This one's screws. When they stamp the steel, I don't know. Okay, so the tip bit I'm going to talk about. This is a good example. This is splayed open. It's wider than the hole, and this one. So it's not going to go in too well. We need to just open it up a little bit or close it, depends on which way. So again, when you're putting these up, make sure each one of them have aligned with the hole before you put it in. Same with the larger panel. Another trick to putting these panels up is make sure you align the holes, because if you don't, those little clips will splay out if you don't take your time and you come up and start banging these, you're going to splay those clips and they're just going to fold flat and you're going to have no chance, and you're going to have to pull it down, straighten them up, and by the time you try and straighten them, the little screw and glue that holds them into the panel, and that will be broken and you're hosed. So take your time, put them in carefully, and you should end up with the panels looking neat again. So I hope this helped you guys.